YouTube, what is good? We are back for another gym session and a little car intro, as always, discussing some random science-based lifting stuff that has happened in the past week. And today's one, I'm going to focus on warm-ups because it is cold everywhere right now. I think everybody's feeling it, including everyone down in Florida. And I did post something a little whiles ago that was about basically if you are in the car and you're driving to the gym, then you don't need your AC on when it is warm, because you can use that kind of heat to get the temperature of your muscles up. Now, that was kind of said a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but also there is some real meaning behind it, because we don't need to necessarily go in the gym and waste time getting on the treadmill, getting on a bike, elliptical, whatever you want, to do that kind of temperature, muscle temperature raising, blood flow work. We can generally just walk into the gym, do some feeder sets for us first with exercise. I love to do the cluster warm-up, and if you haven't seen that concept, make sure you watch my videos of my sessions, because I cluster warm-up for my primary exercise every single session. But I don't necessarily have to get on the treadmill and all those other things, mobility work, foam roll, all these other things that are designed to get a little bit of tissue preparation, blood flow and temperature and things like that. Now, people have ran with it. And what now they're doing is they're just like skipping over every bit of warm-up and going straight in to their working set. Now, you can get away with that, but that wasn't the definition of what I was trying to achieve by saying, hey, turn the heat on in your car, get your muscle temperatures up there. You can certainly get away with it, but we also have to think about things like our connective tissue and just general muscle preparedness and our psychology of our lifts. So hypertrophy training is generally a little bit forgiving because we're not doing maximal weights, we're not doing 1 RM type stuff, generally in that range of maybe 60 to 80% 1 repetition max. So yeah, you can most likely get in the gym, and every now and then, if you're like short on time, skip some warm-up sets, go straight to your working set, bang it out. It also depends on the exercise that you're doing, because say for example that was a barbell RDL, probably not the most advisable thing to go in and just go in cold and hit your first set of that exercise. If it's a machine seated chest press, it's unlikely that you're going to really hurt yourself doing that, so you can get away with it. So there's going to be some exercise selection type stuff, but the general underlying message that I want to get across in this video and for today's session is don't skip some of your preparation and your feeder sets, especially as it comes to your primary exercise. Once you're getting into your secondary stuff, you should have already maybe touched those muscle groups. You can always add one feeder set just to kind of get a couple of reps in, just to get the feel of things. And that's going to change over time as well, because certain muscle groups, you've seen my videos hopefully, there's days where I walk in and certain muscle groups are feeling a little bit more sore, a little bit more tight. We give them a little bit more love, and sometimes we offload them, sometimes we do deloads. Like, that is the beauty and flexibility of programming. Like, there's not going to be this one perfect set structure that you get on paper. And similarly with warm-ups, sometimes you can get away with no warm-up sets. Other times you might need a couple of those feeder sets, and then you're going to set a PR type thing. So stick around for today's video, because we will be obviously doing the cluster warm-up, and it is a bit more of a hybrid day. So I have been playing around with my split. Again, I know people hate changing their splits, but for me, I like to do these little tweaks because they're like just these little 1%ers that I'm trying to get a little bit more juice out of, and realizing that certain muscle groups have got different time courses of recovery, and I can't get something down on paper that's absolutely perfect for every single muscle group. So this is going to be more of a posterior type session. So posterior sessions, if you're not familiar as a viewer, it's generally where you work all the muscles on the anatomical back landmark of yourself. So your back, your glutes, your hamstrings, your calves, so on and so forth. And you might be wondering, well, isn't it supposed to be upper lower? So you're supposed to be just doing a leg day today? And you would be correct. So there will be some other legs in there which might not necessarily seem as posterior in terms of like adductors. There will be one set of quads today, but I am turning down the volume of my quads. I don't feel like it's an area that I need to develop any further, and anything that like really comes from quads is going to be conditioning. So when I'm going into show prep, it's going to be the conditioning that's going to shine through for the quads. I could maybe try and grind out some more size, but I think still keeping a 2 times a week exposure for quads is more than enough to really get the juice out of the squeeze for them. Hamstrings, glutes, still a very big focus, and I'm finding that they recover way quicker in my push legs pull upper lower split that I'm running right now. So with that in mind, because my last pull day was on the Thursday and we're now on the weekend on a Sunday, it's time to pull again. I don't like doing as much pull on my upper day. I'm doing more of a focused shoulder day. There are some rear delts in there. There are some pulling actions in there. But overall, today is a better focused pull day where I can get some of my other stuff in that I'm not necessarily getting in my true pull session. So again, we'll have more focus on areas that are not getting as much volume. And that is the beauty and art of coaching. So stick around. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe this channel. We are growing, and people are messaging me saying, hey, it is literally a crime that I don't have that many subscribers. And I don't like begging for subscribers, but I feel like this is going to be very useful to you guys. So make sure you're tapping in, make sure you're liking this, and make sure you're subscribing. Stick around for the session because it's going to be a bang. This second set. Have you made a bit on forearm training? I haven't actually done forearm training much yet. Mainly because I don't have the biggest forearms in the world, but I do have some stuff on brachioradialis if you're going to technically include that as being a forearm muscle. So the reason why I'm kind of doing my session the way that I'm doing it today is I actually do want to try and progress some loads. I'm actually 10 kilograms up from my usual lift on adductors. I'm just going for it. MTL's in the room, love it. What do you think of tracking bi-weekly? Like tracking your lifts? I track mine every session. So I would just kind of essentially, when you feel like a good day, like today I feel really good. Yesterday actually, I was kind of disappointed. I trained with one of my old-time friends at his gym, and my incline bench was terrible compared to his. So I was kind of like sort of annoyed with myself. But I got him on triceps. So basically, I think tracking wise, you just gotta like continue to track, but also know that there could be up and down days depending on where you're at for that given week. I did also travel and stuff like that. Have you ever faced injuries? I've had a few hamstring strains in my past playing soccer, so I had to overcome them. I've dealt with some shoulder pain previously and some left knee patella tendonitis, but that's about it really. Parkour, listen. I mean, listen, bro, I have my Oura ring on, that shit's tracking me, my iPhone, my AirPods, I'm cooked. Yo, I appreciate the star, my guy. Again, I don't expect no gifts in these lives. I like these lives because I like to just chat with you guys. And again, let's make this a bit more Q&A style. If I do miss your question, just repost it. I try and get as many questions answered as I can during these sessions, especially on the weekends. Should the humerus be moving in overhead extension? You want to try if possible, to keep it as still as possible. There's going to be some movement because it's going to be inherently variable based on the position of your hand and the cable and stuff like that. Small amounts of movement are not too detrimental, especially if you take your sets close to failure. If you start feeling like it becomes more of like a pullover type thing, again, you're going to have a little bit of distributed load share to all the muscles, lats, chest, things like that. But ultimately, if you really focus on that elbow extension, you're going to grow triceps. I love the overhead position. Wanda, I appreciate you. But yeah, and if people are kind of very concerned about that, a few little cheat reps here and there for things like elbow flexion and elbow extension, and even your leg extensions, your leg curls, where you might see hip thrusting or kind of tilting a little bit, like when some people are on the prone leg curl and you see them thrust their glutes and stuff. That's not going to make or break hypertrophy. I kind of don't like the thought process that there has to be this purist form execution, because there'll be degrees of freedom. Somebody earlier on in the chat was wholly half wrong, and then it's where do you want me to go? I can't physically get any further into abduction. So that's my individual wrong. Wrong is just arbitrary, right? Now there's probably some people who can put this machine down on 9 and get all the way out there. So again, the whole kind of debate of certain degrees of freedom in joints, it's not contributing that much torque. And the kind of funny thing is, I guess, with things like the long head or the triceps, is that thought process around reciprocal inhibition. And I don't even know if that's actually the right term to apply to the simultaneous shortening and lengthening at two different joints. It's a very unique form of reciprocal inhibition, but it also depends on the ratio of torque that's being created for each angle. And it's very rare that they're always simultaneously exactly the same lengths. Length changes. So ultimately, elbow extension wins. That's why long head grows in the overhead position and things like that. And I also forgot to do my little mechanical drop set on that last set, so hold me accountable on this one. True. What's going on? Hey, you're a true science-based lifter too. There's not many of us. There isn't that many of us. My left shoulder always feels tight and pain 2 out of 10 on rest day. I mean, I would just adjust what your current programming is and essentially sort of program around the pain a little bit. So throw some ISOs in the longer positions where you are maybe feeling pain. Train around it. Maybe if you're incline benching or something like that, purely focus on flies and other stuff. But again, if the pain continues, I would refer out, go to a physical therapist, make sure you're getting checked, because we don't know if it is true tissue structural damage or just kind of a nervous system response to pain. Bobos, how are we doing? You recovered from your 4 sets, full body every other day or whatever you were doing, or full 4 sets every other day? Multiple sets versus same sets, or multiple sets in the same exercise, is a good question. So I think you can have either or option. There's going to be times where you might be challenged with the amount of machines and equipment availability that you've got. So just hit sets on that same machine. It's not going to be too detrimental. We get fiber cycling either way because of fatigue. The new pattern, the reason why I do quite a lot of multiple patterns, and you'll see in a second we're going to hit some glutes in a different way, is just kind of playing on length tension relationships and resistance profiles and slight different joint actions. So it makes your brain think about the motor pattern in a different way, which could change the activation slightly. So It's less about necessarily the motor unit recruitment, because that's going to happen irregardless because you'll train at a high intensity, but the varied length tension relationship. The fibers, for example, closer to the tendons, so the muscle tendon unit, they are slightly different in lengths compared to the fascicles that you'll see at the center of the muscle. So even these like deep stretch cult type work, you actually might be seeing the muscle tendon unit increase in its size versus necessarily the belly of the muscle, which would more so come from the optimal range. Can creatine make you hungry? I've never really heard about that one. But I mean, it depends if also you're taking creatine, you're in a deficit, and it's kind of like a correlation, not causation. But normally thirst is what most people generally get. And what I would say is when people are dehydrated, the brain simultaneously does want kind of more glucose, and it thinks that that's the answer, so it craves food when actually it's water hydration. So that could also be the explanation there. You do 4 sets every other day of biceps, never going to recover. It's impossible, I'm telling you. The amount of people that are telling us that like you can't do more than 4 sets, even though I'm like sitting here and like smashing like 3 sets right now and about to go and hit 3 more sets or something else, like I guess I'm cooked. Like I'm just going to wither away here. And I'm like, right now, oh, I forgot to do my mechanical drop set. Let's not forget that. And I'm like, right now, truly trying to do like a 6-7 RM range. So nobody can say that I'm not training with intensity as well. So that's like kind of the other thing. All right, let's get rid of this gym pin and things, and then we'll go to the next station. Kickback time. So I kind of do this in 2 different positions as well to get a bit more of glute medius and minimus versus glute max. We'll go glute max first. Matt, I appreciate you. Left like a 1 rep in reserve for that one. Oh, just because we do have more glutes after this as well. That's where we're at with that. Okay. Nope, not everybody has access to a machine like this, but you can easily set this up with a bench and cable as well, so it doesn't have to be this machine. Nice. All right, we'll do one more set. We'll do kind of more like an abduction, long lever for the glute med, and then we'll get some calves done. Sets would be the thing that I would mainly suggest. Let's see if I can hit this weight. Actually, I haven't tried this. Oh yeah, that's too heavy for sure. All right, I knew I was a little bit gonna be a little bit lower on this, but I am trying to push today. So let's go. I'm just gonna bad content. So I would definitely listen to Lau. I think he's a little bit irate sometimes, which I don't know what his blood pressure's at, but he should probably settle that down a little bit. But he is an OG, so we do like a good Lau McDonald on YouTube or on his podcast. Who's a better bodybuilder? I mean, TNF's way bigger than me. Like, I think that I could on a good day with right condition, I can compete on stage with TNF for sure, but his arms are just so thick. Like, I have decent size, again, enough to compete, but yeah, TNF wins that one for sure, so shout out to TNF. You can tell him I said that. You think that exercise is good for someone who has lumbar scoliosis? Yeah, for sure. This is, again, like I'm going a little bit heavier, but in terms of this, we've got nice brace here. So I can also, if I wanted to, make it less about standing. I can like come in here as well and sit. I don't find it as comfortable, higher weight going that way. And so I'll go around right leg into the pad, and then I'll kind of hold this just for a little bit of balance more than anything, so you don't topple over. The only thing that I would say about these type of machines is you definitely need a really good cuff. If you don't have a good cuff, the Velcro is going to come off, and then it's going to rip off. Honestly, my calves don't fatigue like that. Like, I don't experience soreness. I was going full body every other day and training them 4 times a week over the winter break. So I could definitely go back to 4 times a week now. Religious beliefs, I mean, I was raised Roman Catholic, but definitely not religious, so you could say I haven't repented any of my sins or been to confession in a long time, but I subscribe to the fact that there is most likely some form of God out there, and anybody who is religious and has their beliefs are entitled to them. I just don't like it when religious agendas get pushed beyond what they're supposed to be, kind of thing. I'm actually going to move this slightly back so it feels a little bit better on my back. I wouldn't necessarily that I'm agnostic, because well, I guess so. I guess that is the definition of agnostic, right? We acknowledge that there is potential God, but just don't practice religion. But I mean, my roots were Roman Catholic, so I think that's pretty heavy. You go into a scientific field, again, like, I'm not going to discount or discredit people's gods. My big thing is the multiple different interpretations of religion kind of confuse me in a sense, because it's like, how can you not have one? Anyway, not very religious or political, so we don't chat that much about that on my channel, at least. How do I adjust the incline? So there's like a lever back here that we can pull, and I can bring it slightly forward. I just move the seat back slightly because when I'm doing the calf raises, you kind of see that I start with a slight knee bend. So what I'm getting is like that little leg press push off. I can obviously do that on this load, but I don't want it to go too far, so that I have to do more leg press than I need to today. And then I'm going to do different foot positions, so I'll go neutral, out, in, neutral, and that's my 4 sets. Yeah, so that one was kind of a little bit more externally rotated, feet pointing out. I'll go internal rotation on the next one. The thing with the external rotation is, you probably can't, if I'm new, you'll be able to see it better here. So I'm pointing my toe, but I want my knee to stay relatively kind of in line with that ankle. So I'm not doing this out here. It's just that kind of more tibial external rotation and then tibial internal rotation. It's a little bit harder because I don't have as much internal rotation, but that's the general vibe of how I'm kind of like doing that. I definitely find it harder to do internal rotation for sure. That's the hardest one. And then we don't take as much rest for calves. So yeah, I like struggle to get the internal rotation as much. I mean, people have really got confused with this one set idea, and it is kind of getting annoying now, where one set will be minimal effective dose, and then we'll get some back stuff done. Actually, I want to just, there we go, that's better. If you're like in your set, and I know that it's kind of like force of habit because you like want to hit a rep range and stuff, to like count the specific reps of what you're doing, but actually you're probably best off focusing on just getting your set done and the movement, rather than focusing on, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. People like to count them out loud, that's fine, but I would focus my attention on the actual muscle and the movement versus like trying to remember the count. And that's like one of the beauties of recording stuff, because I can always watch it back, and you can always watch it back too. You don't have to be posting it on TikTok. You can just record your set, watch it back, and then use it as kind of like game footage. And so yeah, I don't really count. I know I'm going to hit a certain rep range with a certain intensity, and then generally if it's anything under like 5, you should be able to keep track. Also, I bought like some of the, I guess like knockoff type Gym Reaper hook grips, and they ripped. So I'm back to using my Iron Mind grips, or wraps, whatever you want to call them, wrist grips, for some of my rope stuff. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get some looks whenever I pull out the cuffs and I'm getting my friggin' leg sleeve, putting it on my forearm and stuff, and then I'm doing like flaps and things like that. But I feel like it's just because people haven't tapped in. Once they kind of like tap in and they realize, oh shit, I get a decent pump out of this, number one, but also like it targets the muscle group really well. Like, I don't understand how people wouldn't want to do that. It's just a training option. It's kind of like if a machine had like pull down handles that you essentially just put your arms in, it'd be standard gym culture. But because I think science-based lifting has taken it too far, it's like demonized a little bit. Slowing the reps is better. So, I mean, just control tempos. You can be quick, you can be slow. You just don't want to be super slow when it comes to tempo work, at least. Well, so I haven't got them in today's session, but I generally use kind of like the flaps or anything cuffed to warm up for pull downs for that exact reason, that it potentiates my pull down, and then I feel more strong, able to load. And even though they're very similar positions, the exercises still have slightly different profiles because of the external moment arm. So basically, I use it as a warm-up, and I don't know if Kyle's still in here, but put Kyle onto that, and he's seen that same progression too. So
videos are on YouTube, so make sure you watch back some of those other sessions where I hit back on my pull days, because that kind of walks through how I do that format and structure. This machine has one of those like resistance profiles where it's like so hard in that shortened position, like crazy resistance profile. Honestly, in like the science-based lifting space, I think there's too many on paper coaches and not enough like actual real life coaches who know how to adapt things in situations and in the moment, and even as being an athlete. And that's why I think coaching guidance is very important, because they can help direct your thoughts and your feelings and give you kind of formulas to your work. Wait, I might have missed that message, something about a show. I'll have to scroll back after this set, I'll check it out. It depends on the exercise, but like I'll normally stay in between kind of like the 5 to 8, 9 rep range. Hell yeah, Joey. Congrats on the pro card, my guy. First, a birthday show as well, that's crazy. What a present that is. I mean, Manzi, did you just see the set, or? I don't think I have any other reps in reserve there, but if you want, I can jump back on and see how many more sets I could hit on that one. I'm just going to pause real quick to figure out what's next. Damn, that must be an old profile, because I haven't worked at Penn for 2.5 years now. I'm not saying that to be a science-based lifter you have to be like a crazy bro, and vice versa, but I feel like if there was just like a little bit more education on training hard is cool, and you can bro style your training, but also kind of have a knowledge of like why you're doing a certain exercise movement pattern and all these other things, I think science-based lifting would be more accepted. Where I draw the line is like where a person is telling me how to program my own program when they have less experience than me. That's the part of science-based lifting that I don't enjoy. But, you know, I was also a young coach once upon a time, and I thought I knew it all. And I look back at some of my programs I wrote 10 years ago, and I genuinely laugh at how I thought that was the best program I've ever seen. And it probably worked for a little bit. And I also coached athletes where some programs I'm like, I probably would never run that program ever again. But in the moment, it got the job done. But the other thing that I find pretty interesting with all the kind of like science-based lifting talk is like how nobody believes that you can recover from 8 sets. Like why doesn't anybody believe that? Like have you ever just tried to do it? How long have I been in strength conditioning? 2012 was my first full-time role in S&C. I was doing some part-time stuff from 2010 to 2012, and then I got a full-time role 2012. Yeah, I mean, 8 sets per session is my general kind of range. Sometimes I'll do less, sometimes I'll do more. But like glutes today, like how do we split those glutes up? Are we saying regional specific exposure, because I did abduction seated, I did the kickbacks, and then long lever cable abduction, and now I'm on hip thrust. So how many sets of glutes are you classifying that as? We need more plates, guys, we need more plates. And be able to just use what other people tell you. And again, I think this field is a great field to be a part of. I think we've just taken principles way too far. Way too far. Like, one set methods. Great programming. I've programmed it, I do it myself. But if you fuel more in your day, you can do more than one set. Fuel for the work required. People forget that as a basic principle of training. If you're eating more carbohydrates, you can train harder. A lot of people kind of treat like these like methods. They'd be like kind of like programs that I'm running deep in my prep where I'm on a calorie deficit. Like, I should not be able to do more in a calorie deficit than what somebody who is at their maintenance calorie or slight surplus, especially even if they're in like 2-3 years of their training age. I should not be able to do more sets and more volume on less calories. And that's kind of how I preach to my coaching clients. And I don't just use myself as an example there, but that's the truth. That's the full Navi lifetime peptides, and also any androgens. Try and stay away, because I feel like the more that I would learn about PEDs, the more tempted one would be to hop on. Okay. That feels pretty good on the lean back. So I also vary this a little bit with the leaning back. So sometimes you'll see me post videos where I'm like almost fully reclined. And other times I'll kind of stay in what's more like a 20-30 degree hip flexion angle. So as long as you're not leaned all the way forward in like a leg extension, you're going to be relatively okay in a hip extended position. And then I normally get that seatbelt tight, but I'm like actively producing hip extension too. Just one set of quads today, so hopefully nobody's getting crazy at me with that stuff. But how do people get tough? That's a golden question. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Do I ever go above 20% body fat? Nah. If I start getting into like the high teens, I'll just go back onto a cut. Originally from the UK, lived in the USA quite a while, so my accent's cooked. How old am I? I'm unk, bro. I'm unk. I'm too old. Let's just say I'm older than TNF. How about that? Outside music. The music in this gym is the best, so I normally don't wear, yeah, I'm older than the Big Keen for sure. This to be way down there, this to be here. That's good. All right. Oh, put this on the wrong way around. Wait, am I bugging? Here we go. I'm gonna rush through a little bit of this back stuff. Just because I am running slightly short on time. Like the other thing, this is why on paper I technically have a seated row, chest supported, but what I can do is I can do it standing and still get the job done. So again, same exercise, just performed a little bit differently. Not one rep. Why not? Ralph, why are you being a hater? You know I'm not trying to do a row rate, I'm just trying to do a Kelso. Lat focus. The only problem is with not doing them unilateral is getting my position to in the standing position. Like I have to push this so far forward and then I can barely reach. So to get the wraps on these type of straps, I have to go unilateral. All right, take this off real quick. Shoulder exit. Again, if we're talking about shoulder, you can train your bicep in any position as long as it's elbow flexion, supination. Most people don't like the extended position because the long head tendon wraps around the humerus, provides pain feedback, pain feedback. But this is technically the last couple of sets here. So we get this done. Oh, I should have pulled this dumbbell a little closer. Okay, let's go. Oh, I nearly crushed my AirPod. That could have got crazy. When we think about recovery between sessions and then we go and do another session, there are going to be times where we go down in performance, there's going to be times that we go up. My kind of rule of thumb is comes from process control, statistics and research. If we have 2 to 3 consecutive sessions where our performance has been lowered, we need to change something because we're under recovered. If we have one session and it rebounds back on the next one, performance variation, could have been a bad sleep, could have been just like an off day, all this other stuff. But the real way that you know that you're kind of starting to decline, you'll have greater irritability. So when you're talking to people, you'll feel more irritated. You'll feel like your concentration's going. You'll kind of feel a bit more restless. You might actually have more energy than you normally feel like. You might have less energy. So sometimes that's a little bit difficult to gauge, but your mood will definitely shift. And then the other thing is, like, just being conscious about programming, so changing your session as things go on. So that's how I kind of like structure that stuff. But again, you can have good days and bad days. Yesterday, I was hitting chest. Wasn't a great dumbbell incline day for me at all. I was 5 to 10 pounds lower than what my normal weight would be for that rep range. But then I go and do triceps and I added 5 pounds. How does that make any sense? Triceps are involved in the push as well, but maybe it was my chest that was cooked and my triceps were good. So made sure that I just added a little bit more calories in yesterday. Made sure I got my overnight protein in, got some good sleep. Actually woke up early this morning, got outside, took a walk, get to the gym in the afternoon after feeding. Doing a pretty good session right now.
You asked me, right, and I said,
yeah, I mean, if you get the job done, hypertrophy is quite forgiving. If you're trying to go for strength, obviously weight and intensity matters the most there.